Welcome to How We Grow, an essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business with advice and insights from the best in the biz, with your host, Lynell Gordon.
Welcome to How We Grow, the Vacation Rental Show. I'm Lynell Gordon, and I have a very special guest with me today. She has a lot of experience in the property management arena. She's really smart, guys. Like, she has a PhD from Stanford. She's like this brilliant business person, and I am so honored to have her on the show. And as always, I ask our guests, tell me what you're passionate about that you want to talk to people about in the property management realm. And we're going to talk about regulation today. And I know it sounds kind of boring, but wait until you hear how Fiona presents it to us. So Fiona Quinn, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm really grateful for you coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Your experience is really extraordinary. Talk to me about your passion.
Absolutely. My passion is creating amazing experiences for our guests, for our owners, for people, for travel. As you can tell, I'm international. I'm actually born in New York, but Australian by descent, and have spent a lot of time traveling. And so being able to bring people together and create amazing experiences is what I'm most passionate about personally. And being able to do that professionally, I think has been very special. And then obviously working together with other property managers, with other industry groups to make sure that the hospitality industry and the vacation rental industry can grow and professionalize and continue to provide those amazing experiences to guests is what I truly love doing.
What about the regulation? And tell me why it's important that property managers get involved with advocacy, and what can we actually do? Is there something we can do?
Absolutely. I think, unfortunately, being a relatively new industry, there is a level of suspicion with engaging with policymakers and a level of just disengagement, which thinks we can do what we need to do. Our focus is on guests, as it should be. However, unfortunately, being a new industry, there are a few bad actors who have created a bad name for the industry in certain parts, and it's disproportionate. And so, whereas there are these small vocal few, the vast majority of actors, as we know, are phenomenal and create great guest experiences, give back to communities, give back to their cities, and bring people together and are nothing but positive for local economies and communities. Those small bad actors have really provided a negative voice and negative reputation for the industry. So it's really important that we get to town meetings, city council, engage at a state level, and just make sure that we're known. I mean, whether or not it's bringing the data to show the positive economic impact, or whether it's just stories. And I think that's what yourself being in Jerusalem, that's what myself being in New York at the moment, vacation rental industry has such a emotional impact on most of us. And I think of all the hundreds and potentially even thousands of city meetings that I've been to over the last 6 years, the most meaningful have been when people have shared stories of their parents getting engaged at vacation rentals on the coast and their grandparents getting engaged at the same location and not being able to have access to those locations without vacation rentals. And so those stories where people really realize and can put a face and experience in a story to the vacation rentals, that's what makes it's the impact. And that's what makes people realize how important, how special our industry is, because otherwise people just think of the one or two bad actors and the news stories that they see, a party at one house, prices going up, whatever else it is. And that's unfortunately brings the industry down. So it's just getting the word out, whether, to press, to local community meetings, to city council meetings, just making sure that people can put a face and a name to who we are and to show that we care and we want to get back. And I think that's important, because otherwise we become this, nameless, faceless group, and like any other kind of industry, the bad actors rise above, and we want to make sure that the vast majority of us who care are front and center in the industry's reputation.
What do you suggest on a realistic level that people do to be involved, or what do you suggest they do?
Location by location, and that's the beauty of our industry. It depends on, whether you're in a big city like LA, which is where I'm normally based, or a smaller town like Joshua Tree, which is where I got married, and it's one of the first AvantStay markets, and it's a couple thousand people. But both of those locations, it's about getting involved at a local level. So whether it is going to, the local coffee shop, local suppliers, and making sure that they're aware that their guests, that our guests are the ones who are going to their coffee shops and offering partnerships or otherwise, and just asking, like, how can we support your businesses? this is what we do. These are our people. Just first and foremost, being open about who we are and what we're doing. Secondly, forming those partnerships. And thirdly, if there are changes, and obviously there've been a number of different regulatory changes across the US, engaging with the city council, telling your story. There are certainly professional operators at a national level like AvantStay, but we also, have hired people who, all of our staff are local, who've been in the industry for decades, making sure that everyone knows, whether it's the retiree, like my mum runs a Airbnb in Australia, that's at her kind of second property and that's her retirement, or someone like myself, and that supports my family, and we support over 250 employees nationwide, or whatever your story is. People need to know that there are many faces to our industry, but we're all here to support the communities and just make ourselves known.
You're passionate about professionalism. Tell me a little bit about what you mean by professionalism and how you define that.
Absolutely. Professionalism is a commitment to excellence. I think commitment to excellence in terms of customer service, of course, making sure our guests have an incredible experience. In terms of owner experience, of course, property owners are as much a key customer as our guests, and making sure that we look after their properties, look after the communities. And then excellence in terms of community support and working with our other stakeholders in terms of vendors, city government, city officials, or otherwise, and ensuring that we're giving back as much as we're receiving in these industries, and making sure that we make the communities that we operate in better than they were before we joined. So whether that is monitoring occupancy, making sure that we have the right caliber of guests, obviously committing to ensuring that we pay our taxes on time, making sure that we give back in terms of community partnerships, as I mentioned, local vendors or otherwise. So really just making sure that the industry is giving back more than it receives.
Built by property managers for property managers, Streamline is a powerful software that gives managers enterprise-level capabilities to drive more revenue and improve operational efficiency. Migrating to Streamline allows property managers to gain functionality while reducing the need for multiple vendors, improving flow by logging into a single system and reducing redundant technology costs. With Streamline, property managers achieve revenue lifts by leveraging our fully fledged communication center, reservations quoting system, revenue management tools, homeowner acquisition CRM, and powerful direct OTA connections. Streamline also has industry-leading trust accounting and report capabilities to give you clarity in an overall company performance. Learn more about Streamline Vacation Rental Software at streamlinevrs.com.
So if you had one piece of advice to give a property manager who's looking to grow their business, what would that be?
Relationships. I think relationships is everything. It's being a national property manager. Sometimes people get confused that we're doing everything remotely, and that's certainly not it. As mentioned, I'm traveling at the moment. Everybody travels as much as they can, but we wouldn't be anything without our local relationships. And that is homeowners, events, speaking to, whether it is city council, speaking to other property managers. And we have a lot of partnerships with other property managers in local markets where it doesn't fit for our brand. We generally do larger, more upscale vacation rentals. We partner with groups who do multifamily, single condos. It's like, if you are aware of a property that is better for our portfolio, let us know. We'll let you know about a smaller 1 or 2 bedroom condo on the beach, whatever works best for you. And just building those relationships, building reputation for excellence, and for making sure that we care for your guests and homeowners. As you know, reputation is everything. And so leading by excellence, but until you have those relationships, you won't know how to grow. And you can't do it remotely. So we know the industry is growing significantly. So if someone gets a cold call or an email, how are they supposed to trust you? And particularly for some of the smaller vacation rental markets, they have had bad experiences and been burnt by bad actors. And so knowing that you're actually there, you have a local presence, that you're invested in the local community and you care. I mean, obviously the last week or two, there have been a number of different natural disasters around Maui and current hurricane in Florida, and just being able to let the owners know that we're on it, that we're helping, we're donating to local funds, being able to support the local community, and we're invested in the long-term success of the community and not just there to make a quick buck and leave is so important. And a good reputation just leads itself to additional referrals and a really strong local presence and growth. So in the local market, but beyond, as you know, a lot of investors obviously are across multiple markets. One of your questions is great homeowner stories. Our best homeowner stories is someone who've had one property, and that's their retirement savings or otherwise that we've managed, and they've had such a great experience that they've asked, where else can I invest? What's the next area? And so we say, hey, actually, there's great properties in Isle of Palms, Key West, whatever else, and help them find that and help them continue to build wealth whilst creating great experiences for guests. And so reputation is everything.
I love that story. I have to tell you, that is a phenomenal story. That's got to be one of my favorite owner stories. There are some really good owner stories, but that's one of my favorites. So Fiona, if you had to go back into the beginning of your career in property management, if you look back and say, if there's one thing I would do different, or I wouldn't do, or I would do, what would that be?
That's a great question. I think for us, I would get local more quickly. We started off in Los Angeles. Our first market was Coachella Valley, a great market. Palm Springs, Coachella, the music festivals, fantastic in terms of, driving distance. We had great relationships. We were there every weekend. But as we started expanding, being a technology venture capital supported company, we had half remote support, half local support. And I think we really could have benefited from just leaning into the local support more so. And obviously COVID impacted how we could do that as well. But I think just from day one, completely ensuring that we centralized all of our support, whether it's growth and sales team or our customer experience team or our local operators, having them local from the beginning, I think that would have been hugely beneficial to us because we kind of centralized the support functions in Los Angeles and other cities across the US, and then had our local operational and guest and owner support. And now there's very few of us who are kind of remote or central support, and the rest are local teams. And I think, as mentioned before, whether it's policy, whether it's vendor management, whether it's owner engagement, whether it's customer experience, having them be those local players is fantastic for growing our reputation. B, it's also amazing for creating a better guest and owner experience because you really know the market. You can say, this is the best cafe in the area. If there is, God forbid, any sort of emergency, you know how to best prepare for that. You just have the best expertise that you need to create the best business and also obviously create a better reputation for property managers more broadly. So I think that would be my number one learning.
I want to say thank you so much for being willing to talk with people. If someone has a question, if they're looking to do something similar to what you've done, can they reach out to you?
Absolutely. As mentioned, that was the first thing that I said I loved about coming on this podcast is I'm most passionate about bringing together people from the industry. And when I started AvantStay, reaching out to a few other property managers to having those conversations, and people are a little more apprehensive. Now I'm been so pleasantly surprised. Local and national operators, everybody is willing to pick up the phone, have a conversation, share learnings. And it would be my absolute pleasure and honor to speak to anybody who wants to workshop ideas, whether it's growth, operations, people, policy, seeing it all and happy to discuss. And as I said, I think we all succeed if we all get better.
So how would they reach you, Fiona? What's the best way for people to let you know that they're interested in chatting?
LinkedIn is probably best. I can absolutely share my email on this. Bless Google, sometimes things go to spam. So LinkedIn is probably the best way to reach out. But otherwise, I can share my email and contact details.
Yeah, you're welcome to, however you'd prefer. If it's LinkedIn, that's fine. People know what LinkedIn is. They can find you. Fiona's last name is spelled Quinn, guys. It'll be all over the episode. And look, that's what this is about. It is about bringing together property managers with advice and information, creating mentorships here. So feel free to reach out, guys. And Fiona, thank you for all of your help, what you do for the industry. And thanks for just being a nice person. I'm so happy that most people we have are just really good people.
And thank you. You're doing the good work, bringing people together and making sure the messaging gets out there. I know it's overwhelming for people to understand who to go to, where the information comes from. And so I really appreciate that you reach out and provide that important role as a connector and a conduit. So it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much, Lynell.
This episode of How We Grow was brought to you by Streamline. To find out more about how Streamline can help grow your vacation rental business, visit streamlinevrs.com. Make sure to search for How We Grow in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Inhabit, thanks for listening.